The greatest challenge in life is not proving yourself to others. It is proving yourself to yourself. Think about that for a moment. Most people spend their lives trying to impress others, trying to gain approval, trying to be accepted, trying to look successful. But deep down, they are not at peace with themselves because they know something. They know the truth. They know they are capable of more discipline, more focus, more growth. But every day, they ignore that inner voice, and slowly, they lose confidence, not because they failed, but because they stopped trusting themselves. Confidence doesn't come from words. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. Let me ask you something. How many promises have you made to yourself? I'll wake up earlier. I'll work harder. I'll stay consistent. I'll change my life. And how many times did you quit after a few days? That's where self-doubt begins. Not when others doubt you, but when you doubt yourself. Because every time you say you'll do something and don't do it, you weaken your self-respect. But every time you follow through, even in small ways, you build something powerful. Trust in yourself, and that changes everything. Because once you trust yourself, you stop needing constant validation. You stop chasing approval. You stop comparing your journey to others. Now you are driven by something deeper, your own standards, your own discipline, your own growth. Success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted by the person you become. We are not talking about proving the world wrong. We are talking about proving yourself right, proving that you can stay disciplined, proving that you can finish what you start, proving that you can become stronger than your excuses. Because at the end of the day, the most important opinion is the one you have about yourself. And the truth is simple. When you prove yourself to yourself, no one can take your confidence away. The most important opinion is the opinion you have about yourself. Let's begin with a simple truth. A truth most people overlook. You can fool the world, but you cannot fool yourself. You can smile in public. You can look confident. You can pretend everything is fine. But deep down, you know whether you are disciplined. You know whether you are growing. You know whether you are giving your best. And that inner knowing shapes your confidence. Not praise, not applause, not validation from others. Real confidence comes from self-respect. And self-respect is built when you prove yourself to yourself. Confidence is not something you get. It is something you build. Now let me ask you something. How many times have you said, I'm going to change. I'll wake up early. I'll work harder. I'll stay focused. I'll become disciplined. And for a few days, you did well. But then you stopped. And every time you stop, something happens internally. Your mind begins to doubt you. Not because you failed, but because you stopped trusting your own word. Think about that. If someone constantly broke promises to you, would you trust them? Probably not. Then why should your mind trust you? If you constantly break promises to yourself, that is where self-doubt begins. Not from failure, but from inconsistency. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day, daily, not occasionally. Because every time you follow through, even in small ways, you send a message to yourself. I can trust myself. I do what I say. I finish what I start. And slowly, that builds confidence. Real confidence. Not loud confidence. Not fake confidence. Quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't need approval, because it comes from within. Now understand this. Most people are trying to prove themselves to others. They want recognition, attention, validation, but they ignore the most important person, themselves. And that creates emptiness. Because even if the world praises you, if you don't respect yourself, it will never feel enough. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's where the real work begins. Not in impressing people, but in improving yourself. Waking up when you said you would. Doing the work when you don't feel like it. Staying disciplined when nobody is watching. That is how character is built. And character is more valuable than image. Because image is what people think you are. Character is who you really are. Now let's go deeper. Why is proving yourself to yourself so powerful? Because once you build self-trust, everything changes. You stop depending on motivation. You stop waiting for encouragement. You stop needing constant reassurance. Why? Because you've already seen yourself overcome difficulty. You've already proven that you can stay committed, and that creates inner strength. The few things you do every day determine the quality of your life. So don't underestimate small victories. Getting up early, keeping your word, finishing your task, staying focused. Those small actions build a strong identity. And identity shapes destiny. Because eventually, you become the kind of person who does what they say they will do. That's powerful. Stop trying to impress everyone. Stop chasing approval. Stop measuring your worth by other people's opinions. Instead, focus on this question. Can I trust myself? Can you trust yourself to stay disciplined? Can you trust yourself to keep going? Can you trust yourself to follow through? Because when the answer becomes yes, your confidence changes. Your mindset changes. Your life changes. So prove yourself to yourself first. Not with words, not with promises, but with actions. Daily actions. Consistent actions. Disciplined actions. Because in the end, the strongest confidence comes from knowing you can count on yourself. Confidence is built when you do what you said you would do. Let's talk about promises. Not the promises you make to others, the promises you make to yourself. Because those promises shape your identity. Every time you say, I'll wake up early, I'll stay disciplined, I'll work on my goals, I'll change my life, your mind is listening. And every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. But every time you quit, delay, or make excuses, you weaken that trust. That is why so many people struggle with confidence. Not because they are incapable, but because they stop believing their own word. Think about it. If someone lied to you every day, would you trust them? No. Then why should your mind trust you? If you constantly break your own promises. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. That bridge is built one promise at a time. Small promises. Simple promises. Wake up when you said you would. Finish what you started. Do the work you plan to do. Simple, but powerful. Because every small action says something. It says, I am serious. I am committed. I can depend on myself. And slowly, that changes the way you see yourself. Now let's be honest. Most people don't fail in one big moment. They fail quietly by breaking small promises daily. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. One more day won't hurt. And little by little, their discipline disappears. Their confidence fades. Their self-respect weakens. Not because life defeated them, but because inconsistency defeated them. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Daily discipline. That's the secret. Not motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel inspired. Some days you don't. But discipline stays. A disciplined person does the work, even when they don't feel like it. That is power. Now understand this carefully. Keeping promises to yourself is not about perfection. You will make mistakes. You will have hard days. You will fall short sometimes. But the key is this. Return quickly. Don't stay down. Don't disappear for weeks. Don't give up because of one bad day. Strong people are not perfect people. They are consistent people. They keep coming back again and again. Failure is not the end unless you stop. Now let me ask you something. What is one promise you've been breaking with yourself Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your focus. Maybe it's your goals. Deep down, you already know. And every day you ignore it, your mind notices. But the good news is this: you can rebuild trust. Starting today. Starting small. Not with huge goals. Not with dramatic changes. Just one promise. And keep it. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's reading 10 pages a day. Maybe it's working on your dream for 1 hour. Small actions. Repeated daily. That is how self-belief is built. Because confidence is not magic. It is evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Evidence that you can stay committed. Evidence that you can finish what you start. And once you build that, something powerful happens. You stop doubting yourself. You stop needing constant motivation. You stop waiting for someone else to push you, because now you trust your own discipline. The major key to your better future is you. So protect your word, especially the word you give yourself, because every promise you keep builds strength, builds character, builds confidence. And in the end, your life will reflect one thing: whether you trusted yourself enough to do what you said you would do. Your biggest challenge is not what's happening around you. It's what's happening within you. There is a battle happening every day, a silent battle, not between you and other people, but between two versions of yourself. One version wants growth. The other wants comfort. One version wants discipline. The other wants excuses. And whichever one you feed becomes stronger. Let's be honest. Excuses are dangerous, not because they sound bad, but because they sound reasonable. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not ready yet. Small excuses, but repeated daily, they become habits, and habits shape your life. Excuses are the nails used to build a house of failure. Now let's talk about self-doubt, because self-doubt grows every time you avoid action. The more you delay, the more uncertain you become, the more you quit, the less you trust yourself. And eventually, you begin to question your own ability, not because you can't succeed, but because you stop trying consistently. That's the battle within. A part of you says, you can do more. Another part says, stay comfortable. And every day, you must decide which voice wins. Successful people are not fearless people. They simply refuse to obey fear. They act anyway. They move anyway. They continue anyway. Discipline is doing what must be done even when you don't feel like it. That is how you defeat excuses. Not by waiting to feel motivated, but by taking action despite resistance. Because action destroys doubt. The moment you start, your mind changes. The moment you push forward, your confidence grows. Even small progress matters. One disciplined day builds momentum. One completed task builds trust. One brave decision builds strength. And slowly, the version of you that wants growth becomes stronger. Now understand this. You will never completely escape the inner battle. There will always be moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments when excuses sound attractive. But mentally strong people know something important. They don't negotiate with excuses. They act. Success is not magic. It is daily discipline. So the next time your mind says, maybe later, pause and ask yourself, is this an excuse or a reason? Because your future depends on that answer. Don't let temporary feelings control permanent decisions. Don't let fear decide your future. Don't let excuses steal your potential. You are stronger than your comfort, stronger than your doubt, stronger than your excuses. But you must prove it through action, because the greatest victory is not over other people. It is over yourself. Talk is cheap, but results tell the truth. Let's be clear, very clear. You don't build belief by thinking. You build belief by doing, and then seeing the result of what you did. That is how confidence is created, not through motivation, not through words, but through action. Most people wait. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident. They wait for the perfect moment. But confidence does not come before action. It comes after it. You act, you see progress, and then you believe. That is the order of life. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Now think about your own life. How many times have you doubted yourself? Before even trying? I don't think I can do it. I'm not good enough. I might fail. But how do you know if you haven't acted yet? Because doubt grows in silence. But action destroys doubt. The moment you start, even imperfectly, something changes inside you. You stop imagining failure and start experiencing progress. Even small progress matters. One completed task, one disciplined morning, one focused hour. It may not look big, but it builds something powerful. Evidence. Evidence that you can act. Evidence that you can improve. Evidence that you can trust yourself. And that evidence becomes belief. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You don't cross that bridge by thinking. You cross it by walking, step by step, action by action. Now let's be honest. Most people want belief first, then action. But life does not work that way. You must act first, then belief follows. That is the order. That is the truth. Look at anyone successful. They did not start confident. They became confident through action, through repetition, through results. And so can you, but only if you stop waiting, stop overthinking, stop hesitating, and start doing. Because every time you act, you send a message to your mind, I can do this. And every time you repeat it, that message becomes stronger until one day you no longer doubt yourself. You simply act. That is the power of discipline. Now understand this deeply. Your life is currently a reflection of past actions, not future dreams, not intentions, past actions. So if you want a different life, you must take different action. What you do every day determines who you become. There is no shortcut, no trick, no secret, just action. Consistent action, focused action, disciplined action. And over time, those actions produce results. And results produce belief. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel confident. Stop waiting for permission. Start proving it. Through action, through effort, through discipline. Because in the end, the world does not reward intention. It rewards execution. And when you execute, you don't need to convince yourself anymore. Your results will do it for you. The ultimate reward of discipline is self-respect. Let's bring it all together now. Because this is the real goal. Not just success, not just results, not just achievement, but becoming someone you are proud of. Think about that. Really think about it. At the end of the day, when everything becomes quiet, when no one is watching, when you are alone with your thoughts, what do you feel about yourself? That feeling, that quiet voice inside you, that is your real life. Not what people see, but what you know. And that is why this journey matters. Because every small decision is shaping the person you are becoming. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you choose effort over excuses, every time you choose action over delay, you are building identity. Success is not something you pursue. It is something you attract by becoming the right person. Now listen carefully. Most people focus on results, but results are temporary. What matters more is character. Are you disciplined when no one is watching? Are you honest with yourself? Do you keep going when it gets hard? Because that is who you really are. Not the image, not the words, but the actions. And slowly, those actions shape your identity. A strong identity does not need validation. It does not depend on approval. It stands on its own. It says, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know what I am building. That is powerful. Now, let's be honest. Becoming someone you're proud of is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires letting go of comfort. But what you gain is worth it. Self-respect, confidence, peace of mind, the feeling that you are moving in the right direction. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. And every day, you make that choice. Do I stay comfortable or do I grow? Do I quit or do I continue? Do I delay or do I act? Those choices shape everything. And over time, you become the result of those choices. Now imagine something powerful. Imagine looking in the mirror and respecting the person you see, not because you are perfect, but because you are trying, because you are disciplined, because you are consistent. That is real success. Not applause from others, but approval from yourself. So let me leave you with this. Do not chase a life that looks good to others, but feels empty to you. Build a life you can stand behind, a life you can respect, a life you can be proud of. Because in the end, the most important person you must impress is yourself. And when you become that person, something powerful happens. You stop doubting, you stop pretending, you stop settling, and you start living with purpose. So keep going, keep growing, keep becoming, because the real victory is not in what you achieve, but in who you become. Become someone you're proud of, and everything else will follow. Don't just chase success. Become the person who deserves it. Take everything you've heard and bring it into your life. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today, because in the end, it was never about motivation. It was always about discipline, about keeping your promises, about taking action, about proving it to yourself. So remember this, you don't need more time.